But other coordinators are consistently playing the revolving door, okay? There are, accountability. Somebody's got to get fired. Devontae Adams was on our show talking about the departure of Luke Getsy from the Raiders, and it was, well, when the team's underperforming, somebody's got to take the heat, and it looks like that's what's happening in Chicago this morning. Tom Peliserro from NFL Media saying that the Bears have fired offensive coordinator Shane Waldron. Unsurprising. Chicago, they haven't scored a touchdown in 2 weeks. They're averaging 9 points a game over the course of what is now a 3-game losing streak. It's sure, somebody's got to hold. Is this the problem in Chicago? We all know this isn't the big problem in Chicago. Something needed to change. Somebody had to hold the bag and go down with the ship. Something happened. So now who's going to take over? Passing game coordinator Thomas Brown. Are we inspired by this? You let me know at Up and Adams Show. Panthers OC last season for another #1 overall pick, Bryce Young. That's who's taking over. Chicago fans, you're so pissed this morning, hopefully. I haven't looked at the Twitterverse about this. But then I did see that there are some stories. And this has been around for a little bit, but now it's getting more play, of course. The Bears interviewed Kliff Kingsbury. They interviewed Liam Cohen, who's doing his thing down in Tampa offensively, Zac Robinson. These are interviews that the Bears had. And by Bears, I don't know who's in that room. Is it mano a mano, Eberflus and them? Is Ryan Poles allowed in those meetings? But when Eberflus was looking to make his hire, they sat in a room with those 3 guys, and Waldron was hired before any of those 3 got their gigs, respectively. And we all know what Kliff's doing with the Commanders and so on. This was such a pivotal, important hire. And now this one's going to be even more pivotal. Now you're against a wall. You got to find a guy who is not even the right fit, but who just can get the best out of their quarterback, despite everything else, all the other BS you have to deal with. Because the truth is, Chicago, it is not even about whoever's calling shots offensively. It's not about the quarterback coach. It's not about the head coach. It's not about the GM. It is 18 floors above. Push the elevator to the penthouse, and therein you will find where there needs to be some sort of a redelegation, some inspiration, a tweak, a something, so it all falls from the top. That's the truth. So we can sit here and talk about the Shane Waldrons of the world all we want, but there's something that needs to, just like a little itch that needs to be scratched, a little consulting, a little reshuffling. I'm not talking about jobs being lost even. I'm just talking about a different way of doing business, because there's nothing you can do in certain aspects when organizationally this has been going on for so long. And now Caleb Williams, we're going to have to make excuses for him. It's going to be hard to condemn him, hard to criticize him, because he's going to have to deal with another offense and learning the playbook and developing a relationship and blah, 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 blah next year. This was not the plan. This is why it was an important hire, because you have to maximize the window. We have seen this with Trubisky. We have seen this with Kyle Lawrence and I can name all the quarterbacks going way back. Justin Fields, another one of them. And of course, the insult to injury is this is the time of the season when I remember when the Bears schedule came out and I was thinking, my brother just turned 40. I want to take him to a game. I want to take him to like a game that has high stakes. I want to take him to a fun one. I want to take him to Bears Packers. And I was like, well, I'm out, because those games are way at the end of the season when it's too cold in Chicago or Lambeau for me to want to be sitting out there. All of these games, the meaningful ones for Chicago, are backloaded. The divisional thing, they got 3 on deck. They got the Packers this weekend. This is going to be the first taste of Caleb Williams' NFC North action. This sucks for him. Maybe it adds a spark. Sometimes change, but what does it matter? Is a spark going to make anybody in Chicago happy? This has to be the first of many changes in Chicago. And I'm not even talking names being taken or whatever. But Hamilton, you can even chime in here. I saw a tweet, I don't know if you've verified it or not, that there have been 5 offensive coaching changes under Eberflus in the last year and a half. Is that true?
Yeah, because they fired their whole offensive staff when they got rid of Getsy last year. So yeah, this is the 5th change on the offensive side of the ball over this last year and a half.
Maybe, listen, I mean, ultimately it's on Eberflus. You got to hire well. Some people aren't great at putting teams together. It's just not a thing. Ultimately, that is on him. I don't know if he wants to, like, I don't know, there's not like a pride thing and like, listen, maybe I have to get a couple more ears in here to sit in these meetings with me. So, you know, but I would say this, if they have Kliff Kingsbury, is it that, I don't know that it's better, and that's the truth from me to you. I don't know that a Liam Cohen, that a Ben John, that I don't know that somebody else is thriving here. I do not know that because I think it's bigger than this.
And it's fair. This is symptomatic of, I think, larger issues. But you look at it scheme-wise, you look at the tape, there were signs of Waldron growing, but then he regressed again. At the beginning of the year, there were, you can look at the tape and there's not a lot of creativity. There's not a lot of things to put Caleb in good spots to mitigate the struggles the offensive line is having. There are things you can do to overcome those things. We've seen Kliff do it for Jaden Daniels. That's the hard part. And we've seen Kliff work with Caleb in the past and have success. So passing on him, especially to me, that's the one that would have been the home run hire. And we see what he's doing with Jaden.
We're adding, now we're going to play everybody's least favorite game. Rookie quarterback enters revolving door of OCs. Justin Fields. I'm trying to think of other quarterbacks that have been through this.
We saw Trevor Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence. I'm trying to think. We were talking about it before the show. And it's this thing where you have all these changes year to year to year that it's not, you can't catch up, and then it kind of messes you up a little bit for good. It's always harder. It's like a really hard path when you keep switching these OCs. And now you're in this spot where you've got to do the most non-Chicago thing ever, and you've got to go get the belle of the ball at offensive coordinator. Okay, you can't go and grab the Shane Waldron. Okay, you got to go pluck that Dan Lanning kid, that Dynamo college coach. You got to say, we're going to give you a better deal. We're going to back up the truck for you, McCaskey's to Lanning. You've got to get I don't even know. I mean, a lot of these guys aren't going to take OC jobs, the real wizards at the offensive coordinator position. Like, but you have to make that. I mean, who am I missing? Lanning is one that I would look at and just say, like, let's just go. Let's effing go. Like, that would be an inspiring choice for me.
Yeah, and you look, not that we want to fire head coaches here at all, but you'd have to think if they do decide to move on from Eberflus, they're going to look for an offensive-minded guy. So Ben Johnson has to be at the top of that list. Joe Brady has to be another one near the top of that list. Yes, you have to go get a Joe Brady, and Joe Brady is not coming to Chicago to take over play-calling duties. Joe Brady is coming to take a head coaching gig. But then you got to look at how attractive is this situation? How attractive is Chicago? It should be like the penultimate, like, let's go, big market, starving fan base. We don't have to do that much to keep it going. But this is, and with the Packers, even if they win, if they blow out the Packers, I think the Bears fans won't care. That's what I think. Really?
Yeah. I don't care. It'll just be like, okay, they have a spark. We'll do it again. Do it again. Now you have two other NFC North opponents coming up. This is like, we're talking about dysfunction organizationally, that some people want to talk about, some people don't. Something's getting lost in the crosshairs for decades now. And we got to sort it out. And that's it. And that is just like a pride-swallowing siege that I don't know that anybody's ready to talk about.
Yeah, and you hope there have been steps in the right direction with polls, and it just seems like anytime there's positivity, it just there's two steps back, and you hope they can get it figured out here because the pieces are there that it can happen quickly. They just have to get the right people in charge.
We've seen other teams organizationally, top to bottom, adjust.
Yeah.
We have to see that happen. We have to really lean into that in Chicago. Shane Waldron out. We've got the interim guy taking over. They got to dance with the Packers this weekend.